Hello Internet and welcome to Games Done Wrongish. Games Done Wrongish will officially launch on Monday, October 2nd, 2017. This channel will primarily focus on the Xbox One games with gold titles and the PlayStation 4, PlayStation Plus titles. Each week I will be live streaming the titles and will have a roundup video of my experiences at the end of each week. I will try to get the video edited and published on the Friday of that week, or at the very latest it should be up during the weekend. For more information, please feel free to visit my Patreon site, which is linked below this video. For this introductory video, I would like to concentrate on my top 5 Xbox One free-to-play games. Top 5 videos will not be a regular item for the channel, however from time to time they may pop up on the channel or on my Patreon site as an addition to the regular content. So without further ado, let's get to it.
Number 5.
Number 5 on the list is Marvel Heroes Omega. I played a good amount of this game on PC and was super excited when I heard it was coming to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One platforms. Unfortunately, the ports are not in the same league as the PC version at the moment, which is why this title is in the number 5 spot and not higher. The game currently has issues such as huge frame rate drops, missing sounds and textures, and also has less content than the PC version at the moment. With that said, the game does still offer a lot of content and gameplay for free. Marvel Heroes is an action RPG that plays a bit like games such as Diablo and Path of Exile, but has Marvel comic heroes as its staple. You can choose from a large roster of your favourite Marvel heroes, around 40 at the time of this recording, which is set to increase often. The game allows you to play each of the heroes to level 10 before making your choice on which character you want to progress further with. During this time and as you continue to play, you collect the in-game currency known as Eternity Splinters. These drop from enemies at a rate of roughly 1 every 6 minutes of gameplay. These allow you to unlock more heroes for free, with each hero costing around 500 splinters on average. Heroes can be purchased from the in-game store or from the roster list. The game has many different modes and challenges to play through. You have a main story mode, operations, patrols, trials and events. The PC version also has raids, but these are not yet available on consoles. Operations are kind of like dungeon scenarios, in which you have a main goal to take down a major Marvel villain such as Dr. Octopus or Magneto. They also include side missions such as kill 100 enemies before moving on to the main villain. At the end of the operation you will generally get some decent loot and rewards depending on the difficulty chosen for that particular content. Patrol is an open world zone set in Midtown Manhattan, in which you can run around fighting crime and defeating villains for a number of rewards, which again changes depending on the difficulty level chosen. The difficulty settings range from normal, heroic, superheroic and cosmic, with more difficulty levels such as Omega set to release in the future. If you have 2 or more characters unlocked, you can ask a friend or family member to join you in your game and play some couch co-op. Each of you will be able to play any of the characters you have unlocked on the main account. Together you can play through all of the separate modes and difficulties. The difficulty of the enemies scale when you are playing co-op or group content to match the party size. For most content, the maximum party size is 5 players. For patrols and raids in the possible future, there can be more. Couch co-op however is limited to 2 players. If you want a larger group, you will need to invite players or friends online to join. As a free-to-play model, I think it is one of the most generous free-to-play games, with almost all heroes being possible to unlock for free. Some are timed exclusive for players that have spent real-life money in the game store or pre-purchased some of the Founders Packs that were available prior to launch. These should however drop into the standard roster and be purchasable in-game with splinters at a later date. The one thing that you may feel a little limited is the inventory and stash space. This is the main moneymaker for the game due to the fact that the more you play and the more heroes you have, the more stash space you may need to hold items specific to certain heroes, roles or abilities. With that said, if you get that far along and are still having fun, then why not throw the developers a bone and buy some stash space? You will have had over 100 hours gameplay by then, I would imagine. Unless of course you hoard everything from the very beginning. Then you will run out of stash space very quickly, as this game supplies a lot of loot. Overall, I think this game is a great game with a good amount of content and heroes to play. If the developers manage to iron out the current issues, then it could very well become one of the best free-to-play games on the console.
Number 4.
Number 4 on the list is Gwent, the Witcher card game. While still in game preview at the time of this recording, it is still a worthy addition as it is free to download and play right now on the Xbox One. As many of you may already know, Gwent first appeared in The Witcher 3, a highly praised open world RPG from the same developers, Project Red. I for one have been known to load up The Witcher 3 with the premise of playing some of the DLC content and instead ended up in a tavern playing Gwent for the next 2 hours. As such, I found it to be highly addictive in The Witcher 3, and the same can be said about this standalone free-to-play title. The game revolves around you and an opponent, be it AI or another player online, taking turns to play a card from your pre-built deck. The aim of the game is to finish 2 out of the 3 rounds with more power from your cards than your opponent. Each combat card has a set amount of power for that particular unit, and can also have an ability that can reduce an opponent's power or increase yours among many other things such as buffs, debuffs and special attacks. There are also utility cards that you can add to your deck before battle that can drastically change the tide of battle by silencing enemies, clearing entire rows, or increasing the amount of power your combatants have, and more. The free-to-play model for this game is pretty simple. You can earn scraps in game, which is the base currency to purchase card kegs. Kegs will contain random cards that can be introduced into your decks. Scraps are earned in a number of ways, such as completing daily quests like win 5 rounds against online opponents, complete a set challenge against an AI player, and so on. There is also a crafting type interface that allows you to disintegrate cards you may not need or have too many duplicates of, turning them into dust. This dust can then be used to improve the look and animations on your current cards. This transmutes normal cards into what is known as premium cards. They do not gain any special combat features, it is only cosmetic. If you wish to speed up the acquisition of cards, you can simply buy kegs from the in-game store with real life money and open them until your heart is content. This is the main way the game generates revenue. Overall, I do feel this game is very addictive and a lot of fun, well worth having in your collection.
Number 3.
Number 3 on the list is Paladins. Paladins is a team-based first-person shooter from the makers of the popular team-based MOBA game Smite. It plays similar to games such as Overwatch, Battleborn and Gigantic. The game has a number of different modes that unlock as you play and get more experience with the game. At the outshot, the game starts with a simple payload delivery mode. Each team needs to defend a payload until it reaches the opponent's team's base and is detonated. If you successfully deliver the payload, you win the round. At the time of recording, there are around 30 champions to choose from. Each champion has their own skill set and role. The roles range between frontline, damage, support and flank. Frontline heroes are tasked with getting in the face of the opposing team and soaking any damage they may inflict. Support can heal and buff their teammates along with damaging and applying debuffs to their opponents. Damage and flank cannot take too much damage and need to take advantage of the mayhem caused by the frontline heroes or flanking the enemy and catching them off guard. Each member of the team must work together towards the common goal to succeed. Champions can be upgraded and change their skill sets with the use of cards, which is what sets the game apart from the other games mentioned earlier. Cards can be crafted with an in-game currency called Essence, which is earned automatically if you reveal a duplicate card from a Radiant chest. Radiant chests are earned by purchasing them with gold or crystals. Gold can be earned from daily login rewards or by completing daily quests within the game. Just like the Witcher card game, these are quests such as win 5 rounds or matches and so on. Gold can also be used to purchase extra champions that you can then use to play the game. In my case, I opted to purchase the Champions Pack, which unlocks all current and future champions from the get-go. I feel this is a worthwhile investment for me as I do not play that regularly, but do like to have the choice of playing any champion when I do. There are players on the other hand that feel that having all the champions available takes away some of the reason to keep playing and unlocking them. Each to their own, whichever way you play, it is still a lot of fun. Crystals are the main revenue for the game. This is a currency that you can buy with real life money. Crystals allow you to buy chests at your own leisure and cosmetic items or other chests that do not contain cards but rare cosmetic items instead. As with all free-to-play games, if you're having fun with it and think the developers deserve your support, then feel free to throw them a little something whilst changing the look and feel of your character. Overall, I think Paladins is a really good team-based shooter. If you like games like Overwatch, you may also like Paladins, so give it a shot and find out.
Number 2.
Number 2 on my list is Path of Exile. Path of Exile is a loot-based action role-playing game, or ARPG for short, that has been labelled as a spiritual successor to Diablo 2. In this game you are a hero that has been exiled to the land of Wraithclass. From being washed up on the shore at the start of the game, your aim is to survive in this land. As with all loot-based action RPGs, there is going to be a lot of enemies to face and a lot of loot to sort through and upgrade. Path of Exile has one of the most diverse passive skill trees I have ever seen in any game. While at first it may seem a little daunting and unimaginable to navigate and work with, you soon realise that you're only ever going to earn around 100 to 150 skill points, and that most of what you need is cut up into sections of the board in which your character resides. This however does not mean you cannot explore the entire tree and try out different skill sets or abilities with your character. You can. In fact, the possibilities are almost endless. On top of this, it has a really cool gem system, not too dislike the way material worked back in Final Fantasy VII, for any of you that may have played it and remember how that system worked. The basics are gems are how you gain your main active abilities. Gems upgrade as you level up and complete content, with them equipped in your gear, making them even more powerful as you progress. There are also support gems that can be linked with your active gems to make them even more powerful. Gameplay wise, there are many story quests and side quests to follow and complete through the different acts in the game. You traverse each area of the game on foot, however many of the zones have teleport paths which you can use to travel back and forth to the local hub or other regions. You also can find scrolls of teleport which drop from enemies and allow you to teleport to and from your current location. Each zone outside of the local hubs you visit is faced to you and your party. The phases last around 8 to 12 minutes once you leave that phase. If you do not re-enter the zone within this time, it will be reset, which results in all previous defeated enemies, chests and interactable items respawning in that zone, which in turn allows you to farm them again for more loot and experience. Each hero has many ways to dispatch the enemies in the game. These can range from using a sword and shield, bow and arrows, magic spell, daggers and much more. The more you delve into Path of Exile, the more you realise just how much there is to do and experiment with. No two players will ever really be alike unless you follow a strict guide on YouTube or the web to the letter. Even then, it is not really likely that your character will be the same for the majority of your gameplay, as acquiring the exact piece of loot, exact gems and getting them all as powerful as the guide you are following can take a lot of time and effort. This game has been stated to have one of, if not the best, free-to-play models available. The game allows you to play your hero or multiple heroes from the start to end game completely free. The only things that may entice you to part with your hard-earned cash are stash space and cosmetic items. However, this game gives you a good amount of stash space to start with, which can last you a very long time before you feel the need to spend anything. I cannot recommend this game enough for anyone that is remotely interested in an action RPG. Download it and try it today if you are.
Number 1.
The number 1 spot for me goes to Warframe. This game has come a long way since its inception on the PC. Warframe is a third-person shooter-based game, not unlike Destiny or The Division. What makes Warframe stand out for me is the amount of content and replayability that is given for free. In this game, you are known as a Tenno, who uses Warframes to do what is necessary. Warframes are basically your character and class while playing the game. Each Warframe has its own playstyle and skill set. Most new players will start out with the Excalibur Warframe. This is the one the developers choose to show in most of their promotional content and is a great all-round Warframe that is pretty much a jack of all trades, master of none. Its special abilities revolve around its melee capabilities, which are generally a samurai sword wielding display of strength. All frames have their own set of special abilities like this, however some are based around being more of a tank type frame which can take, absorb or mitigate a lot more damage than the Excalibur, or a support type frame which can shield, heal and buff allies as well as debuffing enemies. Most of your time outside of combat will be spent in your personal starship. Inside this home base you can use the foundry to craft weapons and new frames amongst other things. Across from the foundry is the mod station. Here you can upgrade, sell or improve your mods. Mods drop from numerous enemies in game. These can grant your frame or weapons many different upgrades, from more health and armor to increased damage and damaging effects such as fire and cold effects. Mods can be upgraded in your ship as you increase the capabilities of your frames and weapons. Each weapon and frame will start with around 2 available mod resources. Each mod will consume a set number of these resources. As you level up, you unlock more resources and ways to decrease the amount of resources used by your mods. Mods drastically change the way your frames and weapons behave, making them much more powerful and durable. These are probably the most important part of the game, even more important than weapon and frame choice. There is also your arsenal, which allows you to choose which frame you will use and what weapons and mods you will have equipped to that frame. It also has your navigation terminal, which allows you to choose the planet and missions you want to take part in. Warframe has more than 10 planets to explore, each housing multiple missions that you can disembark upon at any time. There is a story path and unlock secrets to go through to unlock all of the planets, which keep the game moving forwards. Each planet has lots of missions such as defending an item or terminal against hordes of enemies, chasing down a known identified target and apprehending them, spy missions which you need to try and get in and hack terminals without being detected, and all-out destroy all of the enemy threats in the region mission. Most planets will also have a main boss target to take down and extras to help you unlock the resources you need to move on to the next planet or story mission. The game runs at 60 frames per second on Xbox One and feels smooth and incredible to play. Movement is fluid most of the time and the gunplay is very exciting and responsive. The game is supported by players purchasing Platinum for real life money. This in-game currency can be used to buy weapons, frames, cosmetics and more in-game. It is also the only way to unlock extra Warframe slots, weapon slots and the likes. However, with that said, if you happen to grind or collect some of the rare items in game, there are usually players willing to buy them off you for Platinum. This way the developers still get paid by the person purchasing the Platinum and you get to purchase that slot, unlock or weapon of choice with the Platinum you make in return. There are many more ways to collect items and mods in game, such as using void relics, gaining rep with factions and running special alert missions. The content in Warframe is outstanding for a free-to-play title and well worth the time to download and try if you like third-person shooter games. The gameplay, crafting and modding all add up for a superb engrossing free-to-play title that in my mind should be in every gamer's collection. A big thank you to everyone that made it this far in the video. Please subscribe to the channel to be the first to know when new content arrives. Until next time, goodbye.